Hello and welcome to How to Be Human. I really appreciate you being here and hopefully enjoy this video. Today is about us and how we become who we are. When our souls incarnate for a human experience, it always keeps a connection to the non-incarnated parts of our vast spiritual being through what I call the self. The self is like a reflection or a down-tuned version of the higher self, which resides in our physical body and which has no attributes. So it's not good or bad or beautiful or awful, nor does it do anything. It's simply an observer that is along for the ride, so to speak. However, to actually experience this 3D reality, we not only need a body to be in there, but also a program for acting and interacting with the physical world around us. That's our human personality, our ego. Now, how does this work? When we are born, we, with some exceptions like people who went through prenatal trauma, are like a blank page, and the purity and love of our self, our soul, is still shining through our physical appearance. While we grow up, we develop our inner program, which is, especially during the first 7 years, a copy-pasting of the patterns of our parents and peers, and from that we develop our own patterns to avoid pain and to gain pleasure, find pleasure, whichever is necessary to cover our needs. The older we get, the more our self becomes hidden behind a veil of forgetting. Over time, we start to add our own individual add-ons to our basic programming, which we learned from our parents. In our 20s, this first phase of forming our personality is usually done. That's when we are ready for phase 2. That's when we finally believe to know who we are and get used to our personality, our program. We become set in our ways as human individuals, work on our worldly success, like getting a job, buying a home, founding a family, etc., etc. The focus is on our outer physical world, where we find or create our sweet spot, our safe haven. Now, some people remain in this phase for the rest of their lifetime. Others move on to phase 3 eventually. Phase 3 is when our life starts to feel stale and the joy of our worldly success begins to fade. We get the feeling that there has to be more about life than we are currently experiencing, and we start searching. While phase 1 and 2 are about getting adjusted to and living in a physical reality, phase 3 is about remembering who we truly are. It's the phase when we search for ourself and become aware of our programming. That's when we usually realize that we have a choice to either remain how and where we currently are, or to change and move on to phase 4. Phase 4 is all about transformation, about the reprogramming of our old patterns, especially the unhealthy ones. This usually means facing our past, venturing into our own deepest shadows and healing old wounds, a task which many shun as it often takes a whole lot of courage to face ourselves. And the last phase, number 5, is about integrating all these parts, the transformed worldly personality, as well as our rediscovered self, into our everyday life as well as exploring ourselves further and living a self-empowered life instead of an ego-based one. Now, before we close this video, I'd like for you to understand that these phases, although lined up in a logical, sort of almost chronological order here, are by no means fixed steps that strictly follow one after the other. They all fluidly interact with each other, and usually several phases exist within us at the same time, as one aspect of you might be well developed and mature, while another might be in a growth phase, or even waiting for it to be discovered by you. The trick is to find out what phase certain aspects you might be looking at is in, to help you understand the next step you have to take to actively shape who you want to be, what your soul meant for you to be all along. Thank you. Thank you so much for being here. I sure appreciate your support through watching and maybe even liking and sharing my videos. I hope to see you soon again and send you lots of love and light from my heart to yours.